Hey guys, be sure to like and subscribe. Today I want to talk about the gift. This is something that happened to me a long time ago when I was way back in high school. And it's kind of something that made me kind of who I am today. And I want to tell the story because it's kind of a cool story. And some will say, well, that's not an expat story, but it kind of is. And I'm going to get to that at the end because it kind of molded me into becoming who I am. And the story starts way back in high school, believe it or not. And it's an interesting story because what happened was when I was in high school, I was having a problem. And I didn't know how to resolve it. I was bored, really, really bored. It was probably about the 9th or 10th grade. I believe it was in the 9th grade at the time. And what happened was I was going home with bad grades. And I was just sick and tired of school. I wasn't seeing things as being useful to me in school because the school I was in, everybody was so into smoking weed and skipping class. And I just found it as a waste of time for me. So what happened was my grades kind of went down. They slumped because I wasn't really learning anything. And the stuff that I was learning, the teachers were so into like getting these kids back into class that I was the one who was missing out, the one that was showing up for class. And I ended up going to this guidance counselor and talking to her. And it wasn't just that, it was other things too. I felt like I was like a little bit ahead of the class, and I just didn't want to do the homework because it was all stuff that I already knew and everything. So when I went to see this guidance counselor at my school, and her name was Mrs. Wilson. And they called her Billy because when she fought for kids, she fought for them like a billy goat. There was no stopping her when she started something. You know, when she fought for something for a student or something, she would go head to head with the principal or vice principal or the teacher or whoever she had a feud with at the time. And she fought for these kids even with their parents. And in my case, when I used to go home with my report card, my father used to be really peeved at me even if I got a B- or a C. He'd get a little bit ticked off. And it got to the point where it wasn't abusive, but it kind of was bothering me that he was being kind of nasty to me. Because I was kind of one of those kids that was kind of like touchy about stuff like that. You know, like if you came down hard on me, my father had kind of this thing where he would kind of come down on you a little bit too hard sometimes. And he would overdo it. He loved you, and you knew he loved you, and I loved him too. But I had a talk with Mrs. Wilson about that one time, and I also told her about some of the issues I was having in school. So this is what happened. She called my dad in and had a talk with him. Sat him down. I don't know what she said to him that day, but after that, my father found like a newfound respect for me. And he treated me a lot better after that. He wasn't perfect, nor was I, but he just treated me different after he talked with Billy Wilson. And I had a lot of appreciation for that lady after that, and I always wanted to pay her back. And she helped me a lot. She sent me for an IQ test to find out what my IQ was. I guess one of the teachers was a little bit worried about my IQ or whatever. So when she tested me, I tested really high. And she went back to the teacher and says, here's Steve's IQ test. And she's like looking at it. And she goes, yeah, he's bored. That's why he's failing. He's bored with the work you're giving him because he knows all this stuff. That's why. Because my IQ was in the 127 to 137 range, somewhere in there. I don't recall what it was. I remember it was above 127. And then she had me take a second test. Because the day that I took the test, I wasn't feeling good. So she had me take the test again, and it peaked out at like 137, somewhere around there. So she showed this to the teacher. And then she called my father in again and showed him. And it was funny because I tested really high in mechanical, really exceptionally high. That's where my father was a steam engineer. But anyway, I always remembered the help that she gave me. It was like kind of a gift that she had handed me. You know, because after that, I never forgot the goodness that was in her heart enough to help me. And what happened was, later on, years later, it was almost 20 years to the day, a matter of fact. When I knew her back in high school, she had just reached about 70 years old. When I met her later on, and I always wanted to pay her back, or at least thank her. And I never got to see her. I was always looking her up, trying to find out where she was, and I was never able to get in touch with her. Then one day I went to this church, and I joined this church. And all of a sudden I see this lady sitting up front, and she's sitting up in front of the church, and she's sitting in a wheelchair, big bushy white hair, and I says, wait a minute, I know who that is. That's Billy Wilson. And I went up and started talking to her, and I was really overwhelmed by it. I was really touched because I was going to be able to thank her for everything. And what happened was, not only did I get to thank her, I was able to help her out a lot and repay her some of the things that she had done for me by helping me when I was younger. What happened was, she was in a nursing home, and I went to see her after that in the nursing home she was in. Her kids were far away. They lived believe in Texas or Florida. And what happened was, they didn't get to see her very much. So she usually sat in the nursing home alone. She'd get a few visitors now and then. They'd come see her and say hi, and that was about it. And I was lucky. I got to go in and sit and talk with her for many hours. And I loved that lady. You know, I loved her to death. And my sister also remembered her from high school and felt the same way about her. She was just a wonderful woman to deal with. And I was so thankful that I got to pay her back. And when she passed away, I got to go to her wake. And, you know, it was great because I got to see all the former people from when I was in high school, the principals and some of the teachers and everything, and say hi again and kind of say goodbye to them too. You know, because you knew you probably were never going to see them again. But I was really thankful for meeting her again and to be able to pay back what she had given me. But one thing she taught me was this, that to look out for people, look out for other people, no matter who they are. No matter who walked into her office, she was always about them, always about helping them. Didn't matter who they were. They could be a hardcore idiot of a kid. She'd calm them down somehow and manage to help them and teach them what was right. And that was what was good about Mrs. Wilson. And once that kid, whoever it was, knew that they had somebody on their side, it gave them it built them up. It made them know that somebody out there in the world cared about them. And you know something? When I was getting ready to come to the Philippines, I mean, I had seen the world crumble around me in the United States and even my own family. And I said, I'm not going to let that bother me. Because, you know, I'm going to go to the Philippines and I'm going to help people just like me that need to be built up from that. People that might be running from something. Their former life, which kind of sucks. Or could be the political stuff. Maybe their family. Maybe they don't have any family. I always wanted to help people. And originally when I came here, that wasn't what I wanted to do. But I kind of fell into that. And it kind of became my niche. You know? And I enjoy helping expats. It's kind of like my expat gift to you because of what Mrs. Wilson did for me. It's my way of paying back the world, what the world has given to me. All I ask is people pay it forward. And I hope that they do. I know some won't. I don't expect anything from anybody. I don't want anything from anybody, to be honest with you. I mean, some people might want to buy me a dinner or something, or, you know, take me out for a snack or something. That's okay. I don't mind that. But I really don't need anything from anybody. And I don't expect anything from anybody. I just expect everybody to come over here and be a good expat. If that's all you give me, I'm happy. And I mean that sincerely. You know, we help a lot of people on this channel with SRRV, courtesy visas. I help people answer questions and things. And a lot of people say, well, Steve, let me do something for you. Let me help you. Let me give you something. Let me send something to your PayPal or send you a check or something. I'm like, no, absolutely not. Just pass it on. Pay it forward. Help other people. You know, I wish all expats could become like that. I kind of base my channel on this. And anybody that has worked with me and known me, talking to me on the phone or whatever, knows I never ask for a nickel. You know, but I do ask that people pay it forward. It's a great thing, paying it forward. It's my gift. You know, it's kind of like my gift to get passed on. And when people pass it on, I really appreciate that. And it's also their gift too. You know, it's a beautiful thing sometimes. I don't want to sound all lovey-dovey and stuff like that, but you know, in today's world, if we don't learn to love each other and help each other out, what is the world? You know, sometimes I see the world as really rough and tough, hard to live in, kind of hurtful. People in our past are hurtful. The world itself can be hurtful. That's why I took it upon myself to kind of change my living conditions here in the Philippines. And I know a lot of these people are going to go out there to different islands and stuff like that. But you know what? Maybe they'll be the catalyst that will be like an explosion of love and paying it forward. You know, because that's what we need in this world. Just by helping somebody, or it could be a Filipino, could be an American, could be another expat. And if anything, us expats need a little kind of correction sometimes, you know, and set us straight, and let us look inward at ourselves sometimes and say, you know what? We do need to correct ourselves sometimes. We do need to help people. We do need to kind of work towards bettering our world. And some people don't want to put in that effort. And I understand that. We're all retired. I was blessed in this way, that I retired at 55. So I figured all the way up till 65, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to help people. I'm going to bless other people. And it's not so much a religious thing always. It's the right thing to do. And, you know, if I can get expats over here to change their way of thinking and just come over here and help other people, even if it's just loving somebody, just saying, you know, something good to people to lift their spirits or something. You don't have to give people money to help them out all the times. You can just help them. You know, and that's one of the reasons, like I said, why I formed this channel. This isn't about how many subscribers I get. I love getting more subscribers, don't get me wrong, but more subscribers makes me a lot of work. And I appreciate that too. You know, I like having a good day's work ahead of me. It's a challenge sometimes. Sometimes it does get a little bit too much because of some of the questions that people ask. And, you know, answering the phones often and stuff. Sometimes I don't have a chance to talk to some of the people I like to talk to. You know, because I have friends that call me also. I mean, I have my friend Rick that calls me. I have Pete that calls me. I have a lot of other people that call me too. Bill, a lot of people. And I appreciate those calls because we've become friends. But, you know, sometimes you got to do your work and it can be rough sometimes. But anyway, guys, I wanted to tell that story. I thought it'd be kind of a great story for you guys. Because, you know, some of you guys asked me, hey, Steve, how can I help you now that you helped me? Pay it forward, man. That's all I ask. I don't need any money. I get enough money off my ads. That's why I tell people, if you want to help me, just watch my ads. It's more than enough. You know, I get enough each month that it gives me a decent pay, and I'm happy with that. I don't put any super chats on there. I don't need any of that. I don't need any donations. I don't take phone calls and charge $45 an hour. My phone calls are free. You want to talk to me? It's free, you know? Just like the people that help me. So pay it forward, man. If you want to pay me, pay it forward. That's the best way to pay it. And hopefully what I just talked about will keep on going on. And tell other people the same. You know, when you help somebody and they ask you, well, what can I do for you? Say, you know what? Love other people and pass it on. It's the best way to go about it. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's vlog. God bless, guys. Take care.